After our Samoa trip, we headed over to Brazil. For the very first time, we went over to South America. So from Apia, Samoa, we took Fiji Airlines to Auckland. At the Auckland airport, we waited a fair bit, and then we caught LATAM, or LATAM as they would say it, to fly across the Atlantic. We ended up in Santiago, Chile. That airport was amazing. You look out the window and you can see the snowy tops of the Andes. It was quite spectacular. Now, a lot of people were talking badly about LATAM, and so we were a little bit reluctant to fly with them, but we had no issues whatsoever. They were on time and our flights were comfortable. In fact, when we got to Santiago and we wanted to catch an earlier flight to our next destination, they said that unfortunately they couldn't put us on that flight, so we had to wait. I don't even remember how many hours, and they gave us tickets to purchase food and beverages, which was an amazing gesture. So we ended up getting some drinks and some pizza basically for free. And oh my gosh, it was one of the best pizzas that we have had. That pizza at Santiago Airport, beautiful. So finally, we managed to catch our flight to Sao Paulo, our next destination. At Sao Paulo Airport, once again, we had to wait a little bit because we didn't want to schedule our flights in such a way that it's very tight. Because if there is any delays, then your whole trip can turn into a disaster. So we had to wait at least a couple of, maybe 2, 3, 4 hours at the airport in Sao Paulo. It's a huge airport. We did not feel very safe there, but I think that was probably more because of our perception based on media that we had. And so anyways, we needed to get some food. In order to get some food, we needed to get some cash, so took some cash out. And then, guess what? Within probably less than a week, our credit card was already compromised. Already people were trying to take money out in San Diego, in the US, Santiago, California, various parts of Brazil. It was crazy. We never experienced this. We traveled to multiple destinations, multiple countries over the years, and we never had our credit card compromised. So that was quite a stressful experience. But anyways, so we also needed a SIM card because we were planning to spend a fair bit of time in Brazil. So headed over to one of the shops and purchased SIM cards. Unfortunately, we only had one option, and that was TIM. Do not get TIM. As a foreigner, do not get TIM because they're gonna spam the heck out of you. The reason why I'm saying that we only had that one option is because we didn't have a Brazilian ID. For a lot of purchases, a lot of online purchases especially, you need a CPF, CPF, I think that's how the Brazilians say it. So we didn't have that. It's very easy to get it, to get that, to obtain that ID, but you have to be here in Brazil, so you can't really get it while you're overseas. So that was a bit of a challenge. So anyways, we ended up with getting TIM cards, and gosh, they annoyed us every single day. And you can't opt out. Like we opted out of the communication, the marketing communication, and they just still kept spamming every single day. So moving on, from Sao Paulo, we flew over to Cuiabá. And you wonder, what is Cuiabá? You probably never heard of Cuiabá, right? So Cuiabá is in the state of Mato Grosso, and that's the capital of Mato Grosso. And why you would go to Cuiabá? Probably because you are flying to, or you are going to visit the Pantanal. When we were in Cuiabá, a lot of people asked us, what are you guys doing in here? Like, they were really surprised. What are we doing? Especially 3 months? We're spending 3 months in Cuiabá? That's crazy. Like, people couldn't believe. Why would we go to Cuiabá? But I'll tell you what, we were quite reluctant to come to South America. We have two teenager daughters, and yeah, we were a little bit reluctant because of the safety concerns. There's a lot more bad news about South America than good news. So, and the Australian government doesn't help the situation either. They keep telling everybody, do not go to South America. All the countries, you're gonna get killed, you're gonna get all sort of diseases and so forth. In Cuiabá, we didn't feel unsafe, to be honest. Yes, there is bars everywhere on windows and doors, and people are waiting inside their apartment complex, behind the bars, behind the gate, for their Uber or taxi, rather than wait outside. So these are tiny little adjustments that you do have to make when you're in Brazil. But there was only one area downtown, basically by the river, by one of the bridges, where I felt that, okay, sun is going down. This is not the place for me. I gotta get out of there. But yeah, nothing happened. So generally speaking, safety is not an issue in Cuiabá. You can walk around most of the places, but it's better to be at home in your safe environment at nighttime. It was actually quite interesting to see the military training out on the street multiple times a week. So, anyways, we wanted to go to the Pantanal, and we wanted to start our South American journey in a not so well-known place. We could not find any information about Cuiabá, so this video is going to help you. And in fact, there's going to be a few videos that I shot here in Cuiabá. So Pocona is a tiny little town, about an hour and a half drive from Cuiabá, and that's basically the top of the Pantanal. And from Pocona, you can head into the Pantanal. We went into the Pantanal 4 times. So I've got another video about the Pantanal in particular, because that was clearly the highlight of our Mato Grosso trip. Unfortunately, I lost a lot of the footage that I took in Cuiabá, but let me show you on Google Maps, on Street View, the places that we've been to, and through that I will tell you about some of our experiences. So this is the apartment that we stayed at. It was really cool. It was really good. A bunch of 2-bedroom apartments, 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom with a pool. And the people were absolutely lovely. So when we arrived to Cuiabá, yeah, we had the typical issues that a lot of travelers face. Your phone battery is dying. You don't have internet, etc., etc. You don't have cash, and you gotta pay the taxi by cash, and lots of little challenges. But the people, and this is. I guess I can generalize this. We spent 6 months in Brazil all up. And so Cuiabá is not unique, but from that perspective, but people in general in Brazil are really, really kind and helpful. Of course, there are always exceptions everywhere. So they are so nice. Some of them are so nice that we had this experience where after jiu-jitsu, we tried to catch an Uber. And for some reason, Uber drivers in Cuiabá, they don't like it when you have 4 people. I don't understand why. Apparently, this changed after COVID, but some say that it's a safety thing. I don't really understand. Anyways, so Uber driver turns up, and they say he sees that okay, there's 4 of us. Nah, he just drove off without a word. And this happened multiple times in Cuiabá. And So one of my training partners, his wife was also there. They said, "Oh, they can drop us off," and that was such a beautiful gesture. It just shows you how lovely a lot of the people are in that part of the world. Another friend of mine, he actually invited us into their own home, and we had an incredible dinner. I've got a separate footage for this. You gotta watch this. This is absolutely awesome. There is this saying that the best thing in Brazil is the people. I think there is a great truth in it. The nature is also quite beautiful when it's untouched. Haven't been to most of the country yet. Hopefully one day I'll be able to discover more of it. It's a humongous country, but yes, definitely the people are very, very nice and very kind. On our first day, we were wondering what is this noise that's coming from the street, and so we look out, and there is this car with big speakers mounted on the top of it, blasting advertisements, and then it just happens all the time. They just go around the neighborhoods very slowly, and they just blasting advertisements. You can't opt out of it. There's no way to opt out of that kind of marketing. I've never seen that. So shortly after we settled in, we had a very uncomfortable situation in Brazil, in our apartment with our host. We did read or saw on YouTube that in Brazil you do not flush toilet paper. We forgot. So yes, if you go to Brazil, do not forget this rule, because you're gonna find yourself in a very uncomfortable situation. So anyways, opposite our apartment complex, you could buy pomona, which is basically shredded corn, steamed corn. I believe it's steamed, not cooked. And inside they have cheese, or sometimes they put jam, or sometimes they put other stuff inside. And I liked it. My family didn't like it that much. It's corn, so it's a little bit sweet. And then next to it, there was this very interesting place. I think it was a mechanic. I couldn't really tell. Like it did give me the mechanic feel. And then every night, I think except one night, I think maybe Sunday was an exception. Every night they would set up this barbecue place, and it was lovely. The owner of that place, we made good friends with him, even though the communication was always a fair bit of a challenge, because generally speaking, in Cuiabá, people don't speak English. We did find some people, and we made some really, really great friends with those who spoke English. So yeah, this guy's super lively, super chatty, and he would put on the soccer games, and he would always have a bunch of people going there for dining. So he would sell these skewers for 12 real, and then with the skewers you could get sides. Brazilians don't look at sides as meal. For them, meat is the meal, and then everything else is just coloring of plates. So moving on, we traveled on Avenida Ipiranga a fair bit on foot. One thing that we experienced is that when you try to cross a road in Brazil, the pedestrian crossing is really just a decoration on the road. No cars will stop. So you better be very mindful of where you're going, and where all the drivers are, because trust me, if a car hits, that will hurt. Brazilians drive like some nations in Europe. They drive very fast, but my experience is that they actually drive really well, very predictable, and they help each other, which was amazing to see. And also, of course, it's a great feeling when you don't have to stress about speed cameras everywhere like in Australia. So you go on on a road and it says 80 kilometers an hour, and then everybody is passing you, even trucks, and you're like, oh man, maybe I'm going too slow. So you go faster, you go 100, and they still pass you. You go 120. Okay, now you're picking up the pace. So that was amazing. Generally speaking, like I mentioned, they're really helping each other and making sure that you get to your destination safely. And then this is the shop where we normally went to. This was our go-to place. Or sometimes we did, like maybe once a week, we went to another supermarket called Atacadão, where you had a much greater selection. Generally speaking, the food that you can buy in these stores are, how would I put it nicely? It's a lot of processed food, a lot of unhealthy stuff that we wouldn't generally consume. The fresh produce, I can't help it, but compared to what we were used to in Australia, the fresh produce was not at that same level, and the variety was also quite limited. Now, later on, we actually realized that uh, produce in the east on the eastern side of Brazil, like in Rio or Florianopolis and all those places, they were actually better quality. So I'm not sure why Cuiabá doesn't get uh, great quality food, because it's a farm state at the end of the day. Um, uh, but what surprised us is the size of the avocados. Oh my goodness! My Brazilian friends in Australia, they kept raving about the size of avocados in Brazil. So look at this. I could hardly believe my eyes. Look at this enormous avocado. They're selling them for $12.90 a kilo, which is about $3 a kilo. It's quite heavy. One of these would be, I would say, maybe a kilo and a half. I think one of these might be enough for one breakfast for my entire family. It's huge. I'm gonna get one. The papayas were also huge and very nice and sweet. So there were some really nice fruits and vegetables as well that we tried. Another thing that's worth mentioning is the acai. Oh my goodness. You could get a whole kilo of acai at a very affordable price. It was amazing. We had it multiple times. So moving on this Avenida Ipiranga, a little bit further down, you can see at this intersection, it's just a normal intersection, with a traffic light. But at nighttime, you have this guy setting up a barbecue, and it's a popular place. So this is what a typical Cuiabá street corner looks like. The guys are preparing barbecue every night. Look at that smoke everywhere. It smells amazing. Look at the variety they have. So they got 3 different skewers in here. They got beef, they got chicken, the yellow ones are chicken, and they got some sausages as well. And they serve it with yam. Over here you can see the yam. So that's all included. And yeah, so one skewer costs $12. Yeah, we're gonna give it a try. It's a very popular place. Every night I'm seeing a lot of people in here, so it must be good. And then not far from this place, from this intersection, I had to walk a little bit further down the street, Avenida Ipiranga, and then that's where I went to train jiu-jitsu and made some incredible friends, really great friends. So if you are into jiu-jitsu and you are in Cuiabá, then make sure you visit these guys. They are amazing. Unfortunately, there is a lot of rubbish everywhere, and that was, we kind of expected that, having experienced similar situations in Southeast Asia. So it wasn't new, but yeah, we just didn't understand. Look at this guy over here. He's just dumping his rubbish right there shamelessly. It's crazy. I don't understand. Another interesting experience was getting pizza at one of the places. All right, ladies and gentlemen, so we're in Brazil, we're in Cuiabá, and we felt like having some pizza. We went to a pizza shop, really popular pizza place, and they don't speak English as usual. And we ordered pizza, and everything was straightforward. But then the woman asked me if I wanted pre-baked or baked, or I don't know what the other option was. Anyways, I thought that she was referring to the vegetables, if the vegetables should be pre-baked before she puts it onto the pizza. So, a few minutes later, they handed us this pizza, basically packaged, and it's not baked. So now we ended up getting unbaked pizza from a pizza shop. Here we go, surprises, they always come. And also it was quite interesting to see how much Brazilians love their music. Like we knew this, we knew that Brazilians love their music, but to be there, like they would party till early hours in the morning, even on Sunday. And I'm like, aren't you going to work on Monday? How are you going to be productive? And like throughout the week, any day, when there was a reason for celebration, they just, played their loud music and had their barbecue going on and singing and dancing. Yeah, that was actually pretty cool to see. A lot of times we saw that out on the streets as well. Speaking of music, they also love, at least in Cuiabá, they love their loud cars and motorbikes. Some of the motorbikes were so loud that we were on level 12 in our apartment with closed windows, and it was vibrating the windows. I mean, I don't understand. Like, even if you have ear protection, you get serious ear damage because of how noisy some of those motorbikes were. So yeah, I will never get that. So while we were in Cuiabá, we did a lot of day trips, a lot of weekend aways. That was basically how we spent our 3 months, working and studying throughout the week. And we hired a car from Localiza, which is one of the main companies that you can hire cars from in Brazil. And the process is pretty straightforward. For 2 days, roughly about 450. On some occasions, the price went up, if there was like a special occasion. But generally speaking, for 450 Brazilian real, you could get a small car. And yeah, we did a lot of trips. I've got a couple of videos showing you some of our experiences during these day trips. They were really, really cool. To get around Brazil, you can obviously fly. We prefer not to fly. We prefer to see where we are, see the countryside. And so buses are good options. But we went to the bus station in Cuiabá, and I'm telling you, the options that they have here in Brazil is just mind-blowing.
We're all trapped in a little jungle. Only knowledge and wisdom can set us free. Teeth of the Jungle shows the way.